Hello, Heather back again. I know I said I was going to do an update around midterms. That obviously didn't happen. I've had a really busy semester. As you can see, the background has changed. It's no longer my brick fireplace because I have moved. So that came about in the middle of the semester. It definitely made the semester more interesting, a little more difficult. It was a rough couple of weeks trying to make sure that I got things done right around the time that I was moving, but it's done in my new place, in my new city. Still going to the same school though. I lived quite far out in the rural area before, and I am now much closer. So it's a lot easier to get to classes, a lot easier to find time to study because I'm not constantly driving. So it's been a good thing, even though it was a little bit difficult at the time. So I am about a week and a half away from the end of the semester at this point, just finishing up my prerequisites. If you haven't watched my other videos, I have already applied to my respiratory therapy program. I have not yet gotten an acceptance letter because they don't send those out until this current semester is finished, because there are people like me still finishing prerequisites this semester. So hopefully acceptance letters will be going out towards the end of May. They say it could be June, but it's usually sooner than that. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for sometime in May. That would be really nice. I don't anticipate there being issues with getting accepted, but I will certainly breathe a little bit easier once I have that letter and know that I'm for sure in the program. So I will do an update when I get that letter. I'm going to say when, not if, because I'm going to be optimistic. This semester, I have been finishing up developmental psychology and anatomy and physiology 2, and I also did my CPR for healthcare workers. I was supposed to do a respiratory therapy class this semester. I don't remember if the video I did last time included any of this, but I ended up switching from that to developmental psychology, and then finding out a little bit later that I didn't really need to do that, and that I didn't really need the developmental psych, but it was already done, and it was a little bit too late to go back into the respiratory therapy class at that point. So spent money on that book for nothing. I will take that respiratory therapy class, I believe, the first semester that I'm actually in the program. So that's pretty much all that's been going on. Despite the fact that I've been moving and really busy with things for my kids and trying to just get adjusted to being in a new place, I have managed to keep my grades up. So that's been good. I hope to finish off the semester fine. I'm in a really good position to do that at this point. I don't think that I will have any issues. Right now, my biggest issue is trying to get this final paper done for developmental psychology that I am less than enthused about. It's just not my kind of topic, not my kind of writing, because there's there's 9 pages of instructions and rubric that I have to follow, and I don't really like having that much constraint on my writing. I prefer to write and then, I don't know. But anyway, I have that paper to finish. I have 2 chapter tests for my anatomy class coming up on Tuesday. This is Saturday right now. And then I have my final, as well as they do like I don't know what they call it. It's like a clinical final, but basically it's where they tell you a disease that was described in the book, and then you have to write about it, apparently. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but that's going to be next week as well, I believe. And then my final will be the week after. Again, I don't really expect a whole lot of issues with that. I am really trying to study. I did have 2 tests in this class recently that I was not prepared for and did not do as well on as my other tests, but it still came out okay. It just didn't do as well. So I'm catching up on studying for those chapters that I didn't study well enough before, as well as studying for my 2 upcoming chapter tests, and then trying to go back over everything before the final. I find it to be a really interesting class. I don't have an issue with the amount of studying that we have to do. It's not exactly a walk in the park. You do really have to study to get an A in this class, but I am lucky enough that I have the time to do that, and I find it interesting, and I don't mind learning about things that I know are not going to be necessarily relatable for me as a respiratory therapist, just because I find everything about anatomy and physiology basically interesting. I struggle a little bit more with the minutia, with the chemistry parts of it, with the microbiology parts of it. It's just a lot to remember, and it's a lot to comprehend and understand. I have been using crash course videos. I've been watching those. Those give a really good general overview of the different body systems. And then for the things that I feel like I'm just not understanding very well, like one of the last chapters we're doing right now is on the immune system. And there's an awful lot to the immune system that is very detailed, and you have to know, that this affects this, and then that works on that, and all sorts of things. So I've been watching some of the Ninja Nerd videos on YouTube for that, and that is helpful. It's very, very detailed, much more detailed than my class is. So certainly a lot of information in there that is not relevant to me in my class at the moment. But I still find it to be a helpful thing to make sure that I understand the processes that I'm supposed to be learning. Because it definitely goes through the slightly more general stuff that I learned versus the really detailed stuff that they get into. Those are kind of long videos, so not everyone has time or wants to sit and watch those. Those can be anywhere from 15 minutes to 45. Whereas crash course videos are much shorter. They're typically less than 15 minutes, but they do give a much more basic overview. So if you're just wanting general information and you're not getting into any sort of microbiology level or chemistry level or things like that, crash course is usually a really good overview for that. Those are my only study tips at the moment. I do flashcards. I expect to continue doing flashcards for the next 2.5 years. That is a way that works for me to write down the information that I'm supposed to be learning, and then to go back and look over it. I find flashcards to be one of the easiest ways for me to do that. I find, at least in my current anatomy class, that if I really truly understand all of the vocabulary words in the book and understand how they relate to the topic and how they work, that I pretty much understand everything I need to know. So that's why the flashcards have been helpful. I don't just necessarily write the definition of a word on the flashcards. I write, what the definition is, and then I write further information about maybe what effect it has if it's a hormone, or positioning of an organ, or retroperitoneal, or you know what I mean. I don't just write the basic function of an organ or something. I try to make it a little bit more detailed than that, and I find that that's really helpful to me. So I think that's pretty much it for this time. I will do another video when I get that acceptance letter. And then sometime this summer I will be going to orientation, as long as that acceptance letter comes in, and I will definitely do a video at that point. So hope you are all having a good end to your semester, whatever you're working on right now. If you are new to an RT program, if you've just gotten your acceptance letter or if you're waiting on it, go ahead and leave me a comment. It's nice to kind of know about other people who are going through the same waiting anticipation. All right, thank you. Have a good day.